There is one super important rule that if you just implemented this one rule in all your tug sessions, I promise you will make your relationship more clear with your dog and make tugging a lot more safe for everyone. That rule is this: if any part of your mouth comes off the toy and goes to my sleeve or goes to my flesh or goes to my pant leg, even by accident, I'm going to stop the game. Game over. It's like the emergency stop button on an elevator. End of game. I'm not mad. I don't scold the dog or the puppy. It's just, oh, you hit that spot. That means the game goes away for now. End of game. That is the number one rule of tugging. A dog's mouth coming in contact with my clothing or my skin is inappropriate communication. Now, if you played tug with that puppy and then you got up and started walking and they grabbed your pant leg, if you just stood still, that's an extension of end of game. It's so much easier for my puppies to understand, don't grab my clothing, if I have tugged with them. They get it so fast. So tugging is brilliant for building and growing that relationship. It teaches boundaries. Tug when I ask you to, out when I ask. It teaches very clear communication between you. Your mouth doesn't belong on my body or my clothing. And it also teaches the dog that when I'm tugging with something and I say switch and I go to another toy, you don't obsess over the one I've dropped. You might say, oh, I want that one. The puppy might be saying, well, no, I want that one. When they learn to tug with the toy you suggest, it makes them easier to ignore distractions when they are working with you later on in life. Tugging, of course, it changes the dog's arousal state. It gets them more excited, which means they're far more likely to ignore distractions in their environment, which makes it super easy for dog training, both at home, but more importantly, when you go somewhere else and you want to engage that dog. Now, I'm going to give you a little warning here. Tugging is something that is done in safe environments. So, of course, I do it at home and in the backyard and in training buildings if you go to training class or if you go to competitions. But you always want to be aware. Sometimes a dog tugging with you and having fun and growling will create arousal in dogs nearby. So before you tug at the park, always be aware if there's any dogs in your environment. Please be safe. Safety first. Safety of the people, safety of the dogs. Okay, the 5 common mistakes people make when they're trying to tug with their dog. They're really divided into 2 groups. So the one is the handler's experience and the other is the dog's experience. If you break any of those rules that I just mentioned, that if a puppy bites my hand, you keep tugging, then you are telling your dog, that's a fair way to communicate with me. So that ruins the handler experience, especially if you have small children that eventually you would like them to have a role in playing tug with the dog. If you've established these clear boundaries, your dog may be able to tug with any kid down the road. Your dog may be able to tug with your children, depending on the age of your child, of course. The experience of the handler takes a turn for the worse when you don't observe that very important rule. Also, you are the one who starts and ends the games, right? So if you're sitting and watching TV and your dog goes, hey, let's tug, and you kind of absentmindedly tug, and then the dog says, I'm done, and walks away, you are creating different sets of rules. You're telling your dog, when it's my time to chillax and watch TV, that's when you can bother me. And you're also saying, when you and I are playing, AKA working together, you can decide when you want to walk away from work. The handler's experience, it's super important that you keep those boundaries clear. For the dog, number 1, you need to make sure that you're initiating the game of tug on a surface where they can get good traction with their paws, their back end in particular. So carpeted room, outside on grass, on your couch or on your bed, if you don't have any carpets anywhere in your house that you can use, but somewhere that they can get their confidence in this game in a way that they can get traction. Number 2, toy selection. Episode number 55, I go into great detail how to select the toy appropriate for the dog that you're training, the age of the dog, and the way you want to use that toy. Most importantly is you want to have a toy that allows you to get your hand away from the dog's mouth. A lot of puppies won't tug if your hands is super close. Obviously, it also makes it more dangerous. Now, with an established tugger, with any one of my dogs, I can use any size toy because my dogs understand, don't ever touch my hands that's holding that toy. We've established the rules, right? So toy selection, super important. The surface you're choosing to play on, super important. The third thing for the dog's experience is don't go at them. So many people, when they're trying to tug with their dogs, they go, come on, get it, and they go towards the dog. This is a game that's triggering your dog's prey instinct, the primal drive to want to go and get something. How many rabbits walk up to your dogs and throw themselves in front of them? It's not as exciting, is it? Dogs love to chase rabbits because rabbits run in the opposite direction. So when you're trying to engage tug, don't push it in your dog's face, all right? Either run in the opposite direction or at the very least, pull back when you tell your dog to get the tug toy. Okay, and finally, and this one is so critical. This is a big mistake people make, and it could lead to very serious injuries for your dog. And that is your mechanics when you're tugging. So you want to tug side to side. That way, you're going in a way that the dog's neck can bend. So many people, when they tug with the dog, they think that they're shaking out the sheets in the morning. The dog's neck shouldn't be bent back like that. Go with the physiology of the dog so that they can brace themselves. The best thing to do is that you become the anchor and let the dog provide the motion. If anything, just do a little snaking of the toy on the ground, okay? So big things that you can do that help make that experience brilliant for both you by following the rules that you've established and creating clear boundaries, and for your dog by having a great surface that they can tug on, by choosing a very appropriate toy, by taking the toy and going in the opposite direction with that motion, and by tugging in a way that supports that dog and doesn't cause them any potential damage to their neck.